Welcome back into the Sean podcast. I myself am the Big Ush. Over here, joining me again is that Cat Daddy. Hey, Cat Daddy, what type of mischief you been up to?
You know I can't answer that question, honestly. My mom listens to this. Come on now. Come on. Everything's good. I'm up to no mischief. I'm doing good. Everything is good.
As they say, gravy. All right, anyway, so we're just going to jump right into it for everybody. We're doing week 2. We're recapping week 2 of the NFL season. A lot of interesting things happened. So let's get into that first game. Happened last Thursday night. The Giants went into D.C. to face that Washington football team. It's actually a pretty fun game, wasn't it?
That was the fourth quarter. It was thrilling. A little bit sloppy, right? But thrilling.
Yeah. I mean, some defensive players showed up. Jonathan Allen looked like a beast. James Bradbury showed he was a pretty good corner, but Terry McLaurin also got his stuff going. So, I mean, but I think the storyline here is that the Giants gianted this game. I mean, it looked very familiar to me, considering who their offensive coordinator is. Real familiar to me, the outcome and how it went.
Yeah, what stands out for me for the Giants are the missed opportunities. Some of those mental errors, because you're thinking they left 2 touchdowns on the table. You have your long run by Daniel Jones that got called back. I think it was for a holding penalty. And then you have what should have been a touchdown pass from Daniel Jones to Darius Slayton that ended up being incomplete. I'm thinking, man, you left 14 points on the table. You lost by 1, and you left 14 points on the table. I don't know about that. You don't win games that way.
But what makes this more significant, in my opinion, I thought this team was doing wind sprints and all this nonsense during the offseason so that they would be the most disciplined team in football and they wouldn't make mistakes like that.
Please, Joe Judge, he's on the hot seat. Let's be real. Ooh. He's on the hot seat.
Is there a certain redhead coming for his job?
He's the next best person there to take over. Yeah.
Ooh, that's not saying good.
It's not, but what else you got for New York?
Moving on from this game, we're going to jump right up into that Midwest and talk about the Bengals going to Chicago to face those Bears. And we had an interesting injury happen in this game.
Ooh, we did. Andy Dalton on a scramble gets injured with a non-contact play. And normally when you see those, you're thinking torn ACL. That's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw Andy Dalton go a little limp on the sideline. I'm thinking, torn ACL. This is Justin Fields' time now. There's no one to stop. No one to get in his way. Not even Matt Nagy can get in his way.
Oh, it's Justin Fields' time anyway.
Oh, yeah. But Matt Nagy says the injury is not anything serious. His status for week 3 is in doubt. But really, if you're Chicago, you got to put Justin Fields in, right? He brings a whole different energy to that team.
I'm hearing this is a 3-week injury.
For Justin Fields, I mean, I'm sure he's hoping that it is. Because you're thinking, give him 3 weeks. He can put up some wins. He can bring some energy to the team that they just didn't have with Andy Dalton. Granted, there's a very small sample size, less than a game and a half. But it just seemed like everybody played different on Sunday when Justin Fields came in. It really took over that second half.
The defense had some energy to it. One thing I will say is those offensive weapons for Chicago, y'all need to learn to catch. Justin Fields gave you balls. You had
Allen Robinson
in the end zone. Should have caught that.
Should have been a 35 touchdown.
In the end zone. Should have caught that. There's multiple times where I saw Fields put the ball on the money, and these guys dropped the ball. I swear I saw like 3 or 4 drops. That's not going to get done in Chicago. You have a stud at quarterback. Your offensive weapons need to come up, or you need to get some more. Now,
yeah, Well, on the other side of the ball, you have Joe
There you go.
Burrow, who had a game to forget because I think it was 3 consecutive pass
Yes.
attempts ended with interceptions. And
Yes.
then he also absorbed 5 sacks in the day. You don't win games when you
No,
throw
you
3 consecutive interceptions and you're losing yards.
Not to mention, one of those interceptions went for a touchdown, and one of your because this team does have offensive weapons up the yin yang. One of the said offensive weapons put the ball on the ground. So I mean, this is a team that needs what Joe Judge is talking about and not giving. I'm sorry, they need some discipline because this team's a mess. There's a lot of talent, but it's not channeled.
hmm You know, this was a game we have 2 other coaches that were on the hot seat. You're thinking Matt Nagy's been there for a little while. At least in my mind, he's been there for a while just because of how Chicago has not
This is
performed.
fourth year, I believe. Fourth
I
year.
know, and it's not like, right, it's not like statistically or record-wise that the Bears are doing horrible. I think,
Yeah, but there's
oh,
something missing. It's one of those
yeah,
things.
I mean, he hasn't had any losing season, which is like a huge thing. But with the way the Chicago fan base acts and reacts, you're thinking he's been having 3 to 4 losing seasons. So for me, his job's on the line. But I also think that Zach Taylor needs to be on the hot seat as well because you're thinking he was an exciting hire for Cincinnati because he came from that Sean McVay tree. And people are thinking, man, we got this offensive genius coming over here. And you got to imagine that Cincinnati is a little disappointed with the outcome and what they're getting. He went 2-14 in his first season. Granted, they drafted Burrow. He got injured, missed some time, so there's a little leeway there. But you know, coming into the season, he has I think a 6-25-1 record. You have this talent. You gotta start putting wins up. You can't keep drafting in the top 5 year after year and expect to hold on to your job. So for me, Zach Taylor's another person who's in that situation.
And when you got a guy like Eric Bieniemy out there, like there's some other offensive
Waiting for his
minds out
chance,
there.
Byron Leftwich.
You know.
You got Todd Bowles. Yeah, there's a lot of people that can take that job.
All right, next up, we have a game that had 2 quarterbacks injured. One not so bad, but the other one's going to miss some time. We have the Texans facing the Browns. And this is just interesting to me. I mean, did somebody stab Tyrod in the leg? I mean, I don't mean to make jokes, but I mean, did someone think Texans are playing too good? Get that guy out that game.
No. See, it's not the Texans were playing too good, but we'll come back to that part in a little bit. It's Tyrod. You're thinking this guy just can't catch a break. Through last year with Los Angeles Chargers, the team doctor punctures his lung. Come on. How do you do that? Now he has the hamstring injury and he's rushing for the touchdown this week. Like, he does well in very small sample sizes, and then he just doesn't have much of an opportunity because he gets injured and misses some time. And now Houston has Davis Mills filling in for him because they're not going to go to Deshaun Watson. They're still going to consider Deshaun Watson inactive and to put him on the IR with a non-injury designation. So, but man, you got to give it to the Texans, right? This was another strong performance by the Texans under David Culley, and it's something I didn't think that we'd see.
They're showing heart. They're showing a lot of heart.
They are. I mean, David Culley's getting close to the Coach of the Year award for me with how well he has used him play. Now they're 0-2. Or no, they're 1-1. Sorry, they beat Jacksonville last week. They're 1-1.
They're tied for the division lead.
Yeah, it's not an impressive team or an impressive roster, but the way they're playing and how hard they're playing under David Culley.
Points are overrated. All right, on the other side, the Browns, they need to get healthy. They need to get something. I mean, they're a good team, but they're missing some pieces. Their quarterback got a little bit hurt. Hopefully he's okay. But I'm sure the Browns will bounce back. The Texans are a better team than what we thought they were. They weren't what we thought they were.
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking Odell Beckham Jr. was already out for the game. Jarvis Landry went down with a knee injury. I think it was the MCL. So his week 3 status is in doubt. Yeah, you're missing your left tackle, Jedrick Wills. Yeah. Yep. Man, you guys just keep listening. We're going to have a lot of these injury updates and injury alerts as we go through these game recaps because, at least in the early games, it seemed like there was somebody getting injured every time you change the channel.
Next game has 2 more injuries. So we have the Rams traveling to Indianapolis to play the Colts. And all I have to say is they call me Mr. Glass because Mr. Glass goes down with another injury. Mr. Carson Wentz, who is the Mr. Glass of the NFL. No, he's not an evil genius. I mean, you might as well call him an evil genius. The fact that, he keeps getting these opportunities.
How much money he got out of Philadelphia. Yeah.
He's being broken every time he walks 5 steps. Jeez.
And it's funny, he suffered a double ankle sprain, which I'm not even sure has happened ever, right? You're thinking he injured both ankles, sprained both ankles.
I'm sorry. Say what?
Yeah. He ended up spraining both ankles.
How'd that make no sense?
Obviously, his week 3 availability is in doubt, which means we might see Jacob Eason starting this weekend for the Colts. But overall, the Colts got this game a lot closer than I thought they would have. I think that the Rams took their foot off the gas. But
to be said, Carson Wentz played better than you would expect. And, guys like Michael Pittman and what's his name, Pascal, came up. These guys are coming up with T.Y. out. But it is painfully obvious they need T.Y.
Yeah, they need a 1 wide receiver in there. But Carson Wentz was not the only big injury in this game because on the other side of the ball, on the other offense, you have Darrell Henderson, the running back for the Rams, left the game in the 4th quarter after he took a pretty hard hit, and it looks like it's a rib injury that he suffered.
And the thing about this that makes it significant, and we'll talk fantasy a little bit later, but in a different episode, but he's holding off Sony Michel. They traded for Sony Michel in the offseason. I actually think Sony Michel is a more talented runner. So Darrell Henderson being in there playing well helped his where he is standing with the team. If Sony Michel comes in and runs better, which it looked like he did in this game in not really garbage time, but in like kill the clock mode when the defense is trying to stop you, and he still had better yardage than what Darrell Henderson had, then I'd be a little bit worried that he's going to steal his job.
Darrell Henderson should be worried, absolutely.
I think one had 4.6 yards per carry and the other one had 4.0. But I mean, I could be wrong on the exact numbers there.
Yeah, I think Michelle had a 10 for 46 line.
Yeah, I think so. And then it was 13 for 53 for Darrell Henderson.
Yeah.
That being said, the Rams still look like a very good team. Jalen Ramsey is earning his paycheck, and they should be a fun team down the stretch.
They should be.
Next up, we got a game to forget. There's another injury, and I'm sure a certain fan base just would like to stricken this game from ever existing. The Buffalo Bills go to Miami and smoke Miami 35-0. On top of that, Miami's starting quarterback, Tua. I'm not going to try to pronounce the last name. You guys know I am suck at that. But everybody knows who Tua is. Tua goes down with an injury. It's I believe it's it's not broken ribs. It's bruised ribs. Pretty much he but
suffered
apparently
bruised ribs.
He's in a lot of pain, and he's day to day. And this
Did you
kid
see that
can't
hit?
catch a break. This kid can't catch a break, man.
No. I mean, you're thinking he left pretty early in the first quarter too. He played 4+ minutes of the game. He threw 4 passes, took 2 sacks. and then his
Oh yeah,
day
Buffalo was
ended.
going ham on this whole
Oh
squad, the
yeah,
whole game. Miami had no chance. Sorry for those Jason Sanders fantasy owners. But
but you're watching Tua get carted off the field, and when you see a player get carted off the field, you're thinking, man, this has got to be a serious
well, I
injury.
was
So
worried it was the hip. I got worried that it was his hip again.
yeah, what he suffered in his last season at Alabama. So he's very fortunate to have left with only bruised ribs.
But let's not linger here. I mean, this game, honestly, watching it wasn't very entertaining. I mean, even the Buffalo didn't even look all that great watching Buffalo play.
No.
So,
I mean, you're thinking Josh Allen goes out, puts up 2 touchdowns, which is great, but you're
it
thinking
wasn't pretty.
you're expecting more out of Josh Allen after the year he had last season. You're thinking 2 touchdowns,
Yeah.
just over 50% completion against Miami. Like, you're thinking, come on, we need more. And he had a couple questionable throws in there too, so I'm surprised he only left the game with 1 interception. He just didn't. The decision making just wasn't there like it was last year.
From one game that wasn't entertaining to another game that wasn't entertaining, in my opinion. So we have the Patriots traveling to New York to face the New York Jets. The Patriots win 25-6, and this game was ugly. I think on both sides of the ball. Now, no, New England's got a runner in Damian Harris, even though you look at his stat line after the game, and it doesn't show how hard he was running. He had 16 carries for 62 yards and a touchdown. But, I mean, that touchdown that he had was beast mode on it. On the other side of the ball, Zach Wilson, what you doing? Like, I mean, were you aiming at the New England defenders? All right. They were legit 3 passes. Three of those 4 New England didn't have to work for. It was like, hey, there's the ball. I mean, there's one that they had to work for, which was an awesome interception from J.C. Jackson. It was great.
Yeah, I know. This is what happens when you put a rookie quarterback against Bill Belichick. It doesn't matter who that rookie quarterback is. This is what happens. And the stat I love the most, by the time that Zach Wilson threw his 4th interception, he only had 4 completions.
I just love the fact that Robert Saleh, I get what is he supposed to say, but comes out and says that they're close on offense. Close to what? Who you close to?
Close to scoring more than 6 points.
Close to the worst team in the league? Because that's who you is.
I mean, you're thinking Zach Wilson did not look good last week, and this week he looked even worse.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what they're getting closer to.
Moving on to those Niners versus the Eagles. And this score does not show how fun this game was, to be honest. I'm watching this game. It's actually a very fun game. It tells me a couple things. It tells me I need to admit on the pod. Now, note, I don't know about superstar level, but I have underestimated Jalen Hurts. He looks like a solid QB, even though his numbers do not reflect it, but he looks like he's going to be a pretty solid QB in this league. I don't know about top 10, but he looks like he could be pretty solid in this league. Now, no, I know the Niners have like 0 corners, so that's neither here nor there with that. On the other end, San Fran needs to start Trey Lance and pronto because Jimmy Garoppolo, oh my goodness, bruh. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying he's not good.
I thought it was strange. I thought it was unusual that Trey Lance did not receive any snaps this week, and I was expecting a little bit more. I agree with that one. And I want to go back to Jalen Hurts real quick. I think Jalen Hurts plays as well as his protection allows him to play. Like last week, we saw the new and improved 2021 version of Jalen Hurts. He was protected well. He looked good. That was against Atlanta. And unfortunately, you can't play 17 games against Atlanta. And I felt that this week, yeah. And I felt that this week, we saw a return to the 2020 version of Jalen Hurts, the one who was under pressure throughout the entire game. Now, his stat line ended at, 12 of 23 for 190, no touchdowns, no picks, but nearly half of those passing yards came on a single play, that 91-yard completion to Buzz Watkins. So you take that out of the equation, he has an 11 for 22, 99-yard stat line.
At the same time, and I'm not trying to knock a player here. I think he's going to be an awesome player. I'm just saying with the other pieces around. This is where a guy, let's say, Ja'Marr Chase, comes in handy. Because a lot of these long passes that I saw Jalen Hurts put down, his receivers are not big enough to man up with these corners. You know, like I'm just saying, next year it will behoove them to get someone opposite Devontae Smith, who is more of a big body type receiver that can go downfield. Because if you have Devontae Smith working more in that intermediate, and you have that big body that can go downfield and get those 50-50 balls, that's a better recipe for offense, instead of having somebody like Devonta Smith or having someone like Jalen Reagor go and do 50-50 balls. That's not going to be their strength. And you can admit to that for your boy. That's not his strength.
No, that's true. That's true. He is excellent at route running. I'm not sure about those 50-50s in the NFL, at least right now, but I'll agree with that.
Get him in the intermediate. Get him getting the ball in his hands on the move and getting that yak. That's where he's going to be valuable. All right, next up.
Well, before we move on, we have injury alert, and injury alert for this game. If you play running back for the San Francisco 49ers,
don't do it. Don't do it.
Take the week off. Just whatever you can do, take the week off. Elijah Mitchell suffered a shoulder stinger, but he was able to return. Michael Hasty left the game with an ankle injury. Trey Sermon, worst of all, he took a huge hit on the first carry of his career. It was nasty. He was hit by two Eagle defenders. The first one came in, elbowed him in the back of the head, and the second one just followed through with the headshot.
He was not good now.
He was not. There's no surprise why how he fumbled the ball on that one. He was clocked.
Now, that being said, Philly, control yourselves. Because you injured my Cowboys this week, we're going to have some problems.
But the Eagles didn't leave this game without injuries either. So if you're playing on Philadelphia and your name is Brandon, take the day off. Don't suit up on Sunday. Because the Eagles lost two starters. They lost offensive guard Brandon Brooks. Lost him to a pectoral strain. It doesn't sound season-ending, but they did put him on the IR, so he's going to miss at least 3 weeks, but he's going to miss more. His replacement, Ricky Landon Dickerson, came in. He didn't fare too well in his place, and that is not good news for Jalen Hurts. And then on the defensive side of the ball, your big edge rusher, Brandon Graham, ruptured his Achilles. Season is over. Rusher. Man. I mean, not just on the Eagles, but across the league.
But moving on to another game, a very entertaining game, I will say. The Raiders traveled to Pittsburgh and got a victory in Pittsburgh. What's going on? Does Gruden got this team right? Are we all wrong about this mad scientist that is John Gruden, and he has finally got this team where he needs them to be?
I don't know. I don't know how the Raiders are 2-0 right now.
Well, one thing that did help him win this game is there was another big injury in this game, and that's T.J. Watt.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know the particulars. Sean, how about you give the people the particulars on this one?
I mean, it was about halftime. I think he left the game with a groin injury. And week 3 availability is going to be in question.
They would need him, though. They do need him.
Oh, they need him. What didn't help them this week against the Raiders is you lost T.J. Watt partway through the game, but you also went into the game without Joe Hayden, without Devin Bush, and that didn't help things. Now, before leaving the game, Watt was productive, and he had a strip sack after he beat Alex Leatherwood.
And Alex Leatherwood is kind of limpy now.
Yep. And then you're thinking on the offensive side of the ball for Pittsburgh, wide receiver Deontay Johnson ended up injuring his knee on a meaningless play in the final seconds of the game when you're down by 9 points and you're 50 yards away from the end zone. But let's throw a 10-yard pass to Deontay.
That's not the most concerning one.
Oh, you're talking about Ben Roethlisberger?
I am.
Man, it is a bad week. Injuries were everywhere. Like, scoring was down and injuries were up because you're thinking, yeah, go ahead.
No, we are very close to having either I forgot the Oklahoma State quarterback that they drafted.
Oh yeah, was that Mason Rudolph?
Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins as the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pittsburgh next year in the draft, don't spend your number one pick on a running back as good as Najee Harris is. Find yourself a quarterback.
Now, I before we move on, I have to give my apologies to a specific player, even though most of his yards came on one play. But Henry Ruggs came up. He produced. And Henry Ruggs, I am sorry. I mean, you're still not the best receiver to come out of that draft. You still were overdrafted, but you came up and played well, unlike some receivers in other drafts of your talents. But moving on from this game, all right, we'll probably talk about Derek Carr and some other stuff later. But moving on from this game, we're going to go to a game that made no sense, considering the week before. And this game shows you exactly how week one is an aberration sometimes. How, like, things just happen in week one that don't make no sense.
Are you talking about what Carolina did to New Orleans, which was pretty much what New Orleans did to Green Bay?
So the Saints go into Carolina, and they lose 26-7. They don't just lose. They get beat up. Jameis Winston, he didn't even look like 2019 Jameis Winston. He didn't look like Jameis Winston at all. I have no clue what was going on with Alvin Kamara. This whole offense, like the defense was trying, even though I think, was Marshawn Lattimore in this game, or I don't think he was. If he was, he was limited. And I mean, Sam Darnold, I don't know. Maybe Sam Darnold's found his groove. We'll have to see. We won't find out next week, but because the next game up is Houston. But we'll find out in coming weeks. They do got Tampa on their schedule.
I mean, Sam Darnold looked like the quarterback that the New York Jets thought they were drafting.
Look at the quarterback they got now.
But Sam Darnold would not have been able to do this in New York. He needed that change of scenery. He needed that change of coaches. He needed an overall change.
He needed a regime that actually was competent.
Yeah. You're thinking, last week I was saying some good things about Paulson Adebo for the Saints, how well he was doing against Aaron Rodgers. And this week, Sam Darnold comes out. He just continued to test Paulson Adebo. He was 9 of 11 for 90 yards, targeting Adebo. So I guess logically that means that Sam Darnold is better than Aaron Rodgers now, right? Is that how it works?
Right. No.
Yeah, no. Okay.
But let's take this time to apologize to a different rookie. I know they lost, but Peyton Turner, you've been balling out, so much respect. We kind of poo-pooed on your draft position, but hey,
sure did.
You're playing well.
Sure did.
Moving on. So we have those Broncos traveling to Jacksonville, face the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm gonna say this: Jacksonville improved. They looked better than last week. Trevor Lawrence, from what I saw this week, was the best rookie quarterback out there. Did he still make mistakes? Yes, because Jacksonville's roster is bad. This is the problem. Jacksonville, and I'm not even knocking Urban here. Urban style, whatever. This is a bad roster. Urban Meyer inherited a bad roster. plain and simple. And it's gonna take time for this team to actually become something. Now on the other side of the Broncos, they're very efficient. Cortland Sutton, good lord! When Jerry Jeudy comes back, I mean Teddy B, you have to be excited.
Yeah, for me, highlight was Pat Surtain, first career interception, and it looked
Disgusting.
good. It looked so good. And
But he didn't have ball skills.
Trevor Lawrence, though. Trevor Lawrence. He does lead the league in one category.
Interceptions.
No, not interceptions. I believe it's according to PFF. He has a 36% uncatchable rate, which means 36% of the balls that he throws are deemed uncatchable.
I've seen that, yes.
I don't
Even
think
with
there
that-
is a quarterback who's more inaccurate than Trevor Lawrence is right now, but there's a lot of factors that go into that.
This
The one
roster's
the
bad.
one victory for Jacksonville that I saw this week was that they gave James Robinson more carries than Carlos Hyde.
But I mean,
There's the
roster
victory.
Is bad, and they
It
are
is.
missing Travis Etienne. They need Travis Etienne. It's just what it is. Now moving on. All right, so we go to Minnesota, traveling to Arizona for a nice one. This was a fun game. This is a really fun game. Minnesota, two. I mean, what does this do to the psyche of a team? Minnesota loses 34-33, and this is the second game where they've lost by. What was the last week? Wasn't it by 1 point or was it by 2
I think I can't remember which. I'd have to look it up.
with Cincy?
Yeah, it was another close one, but for this one, you're thinking Greg
No, it was
Joseph.
by 3. I think it was by 3 because it was an overtime game. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was like 36-33 or 33.
But still, you have an overtime game, and then you come to this one and you lose by 1. I mean, what is that? I mean, these are hard losses. We will see what the mental makeup of the Minnesota Vikings is.
Easily should be 2-0 right now. Easily. I mean, for sure they should be 1-1 if it weren't for Greg Joseph missing a 37-yard field goal. But outside of that,
2-0.
oh, they should be, absolutely. But bare minimum, they should be 1-1. Like,
Right.
I get, you lose last week since overtime. I get that, but this one, Arizona should not have walked away with that victory.
I mean, Kyler though, 400 yards.
Yep,
3 touchdowns. This boy is balling out.
he continues to take my words personally. So, okay.
He was like, Sean Cummins said what?
Let me go put up another 4 touchdowns. We'll show him. It was nice to see Rondell Moore show up and show out this
This
past
is true.
weekend. That was nice. He put up, what was it? He had 7 for 114, a touchdown, all on 8 targets. I mean, most of that came on a 77-yard touchdown reception. Very impressive with Tyler scrambling, finding him.
All right,
That was impressive.
moving on to the next game. We have the Falcons traveling to Tampa. And pretty much what we thought was going to happen happened. I mean, the only other aspect of this, the Falcons, they produced a little bit more than they did last week. Kyle Pitts came up. Cordell Patterson is doing some real interesting things, but that defense couldn't do a dang thing to stop Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
No, there's nothing that they could do. No, it was nice to see Matt Ryan throw 2 touchdown passes to Mike Edwards, though.
All right.
Oh,
so
wait,
next-
Edwards is on Tampa Bay. My bad.
So my next one up, I'm going to go to a specific game. It's the third most exciting game from the weekend. Third most exciting. The next 2 are coming up. But the Dallas Cowboys traveled to Los Angeles for a home game. I mean, away game against the Los Angeles Chargers. Didn't sound like an away game from what I heard.
There were a lot of Cowboy fans there. So how did the birthday game go?
Well, like the Cowboys do on my birthday, it was rough, it was gritty, it was still a fun game, but they came away with the dub, even though Justin Herbert all game long kept doing his Aaron Rodgers impersonation, his peak Aaron Rodgers impersonation. Good Lord, this guy's good. I was wondering what I'd see in year 2 in this kid if he continues like this. Wow. I mean, wow. Like, just some of the moves he made to get out of the way of pressure, because a certain guy was coming after him. Yes, this is a Micah Parsons jersey, not a Cole Beasley jersey. And Micah Parsons,
You sure?
impressively enough, switched positions down to defensive end. Now, people don't realize when he first got to college, he was defensive end. People don't realize that Penn State eventually moved him to linebacker. But there's a lot of fun stuff in here. The downside of this game was the refs kind of insert themselves too much. There was an interception taken off the board, even though it wasn't PI, but then there was a PI later that was worse that wasn't called. There was an illegal man downfield that took a touchdown off the board. People want to talk about Micah Parsons' sack, but I'm sorry. Justin Herbert was vertical, going the other direction, and he threw the ball. That's a sack, people. I'm sorry. Tony Romo wanted to say it wasn't. He was, Sean, you tell me. Vertical going the other direction.
Yeah, we'd call that one a sack. Yeah.
I'm just saying. But again, it's a fun game. There's some real cool stuff like that went through this game. It makes me very encouraged about the Cowboys and about the Chargers. This is going to be a fun matchup for the Chargers and Chiefs, which is the one coming up that we're going to get to see for years to come with Herbert and with Mahomes.
Yeah, for me, I like that Asante Samuel Jr. made his presence known with a few big plays. He got the first career interception.
He had one of those PIs that didn't get called.
Got his first career interception.
There's 2 on Cooper where he should have gotten called, one in the end zone and one on 4th down. These are big plays that these refs affected this game with.
Asante Samuel had 2 big pass breakups as well, but
he played well.
Oh, he did. And Austin Eckler is back. Caught all 9 of his targets. He added another 50 yards on the ground. He fought through a few injuries. Like, he took that nasty hit on a very impressive one-handed catch in the second half.
Did you see that throw that an LVE was covering him? Perfect coverage, and Justin Herbert just dropped it in there.
I may have missed that one.
But finish up because we gotta move on. You got any more about this game, Sean?
Oh no, not this game.
Moving on to the second most exciting game of the week. The Tennessee Titans go into Seattle with the 12th man back. And Tennessee looked like they were a little sluggish at the beginning of this game, but all of a sudden, that Derrick Henry guy turned it on. He must have heard Sean talking too. And he went beast, he went beast mode in beast mode's house to help the Seahawks, the Titans take down the Seahawks 33-30.
Derrick Henry ran for 147 yards and 3 touchdowns all after halftime. All after halftime. Yeah. You're thinking third, fourth quarter, overtime. He picked up all of that productivity. It's like a light switched.
The dude on my this game I hated. I hated this game because the dude that I was playing in fantasy had Derrick Henry, Tyler Lockett, and Chris Carson. And somehow I still won, so, hey.
What I noticed about Derrick Henry, too, what was a little bit even more impressive than the numbers he put up were the 6 receptions that he recorded. We're thinking Tennessee is using the play action a lot less this season. They're involving Derrick Henry more in the passing game. He's already on pace to set career highs in receptions by week 4 or week 5. That's how much they're involving him in the passing game, which makes me a little worrisome with all the volume he gets with the rushes. Now you're going to add in those receptions in there too. Oh man, I don't get a good feeling about that. But so far, he proved me wrong this week.
Now, on to the most exciting game of the weekend. Kansas City Chiefs.
Packers and the Lions. Wait, what?
Get out of here. The Kansas City Chiefs go to Baltimore on a thrilling come down to the wire ending where the Baltimore Ravens take down the Chiefs. Lamar Jackson beats the Kansas City Chiefs for the first time in his career, 36-35. And Lamar, he came out not very good. 2 picks, one a pick six, one in the end zone, I believe, or
Yeah.
looked like it was towards the end zone.
It was in the end zone.
Did not play well that first quarter, but after that, all of a sudden Lamar started showing up, and Lamar, I've said it, and I'm going to continue to say it. This guy is the most exciting player to watch in all of football, good or bad. The jump pass alone, what the hell is that? For a touchdown at that.
He may not be the best quarterback in the NFL, but as a player, overall, everything factored in. Kansas City had no answer for him when he started running the ball. They couldn't stop him. They had nothing they could do to contain him. They were only hoping that he would make mistakes in the passing game.
And I'm just saying, you need players like Lamar Jackson in football for the casual fan. There's another player that will remain nameless because of certain controversy around him, but in his heyday, he was one of the most exciting things you ever watched in football. Everybody knew his name. Lamar Jackson, he's more fun than that player was. What this guy does, like when he's jump cutting in the hole, I'm like, what is going on here? He does things that just shouldn't be possible on a football field.
It's fun to watch him play. It's fun because you know something exciting is going to happen. It's going to get you to keep watching. It's like what Mike Vick did years ago.
Oh, you just named him. That's the player I wasn't going to name.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ron Mexico. Ron Mexico. It's what Ron Mexico did years ago.
All right, moving on from this game, though. It was a fun game. We're going to move on to a game that is more important to someone else on this pod, but I don't think this was a good game. It was good for maybe a half, and then the wheels came off. The Lions traveled to Green Bay and get beat up on in the second half, 35-17. Aaron Jones was reintroduced into the offense and goes off.
4 touchdowns, 3 of them receiving touchdowns. Oh man, he went off. He did. Aaron Rodgers put up typical Aaron Rodgers performance against the Lions. I put my beard in the line for this one, right? I feel pretty confident Green Bay was not going to lose this game.
You got a little sweaty at halftime, though, didn't you?
I didn't get sweaty because I'm thinking, Jared Goff, he's throwing to his main receiver is TJ Hawkinson. The Packers didn't have much of an answer. Right, and you have Cephas. I'm thinking,
if Cephas gets that touchdown? What if Cephas makes that catch?
I still don't think it would have changed the game. Yes, the end result would have stayed the same, but I had a feeling that the Lions wouldn't be able to sustain their success from the first half into the second half. They did well by running the ball, but they pretty much abandoned the running game in the second half. It's what I thought was a foolish move by Dan Campbell. Yeah, you may be trailing, but get the ball running, eat the clock. How did New Orleans beat Green Bay? They ate the clock. They kept the Packers off the field. You did a pretty good job of that in the first half. You just didn't follow through at the second half. You get maybe scared. I'm not sure if scared is the right word. But you started throwing more.
Coordinator, same run issues. What's going on?
Yep. But Green Bay gets the victory at home. Aaron Rodgers quiets people. Devontae Adams puts up his Devontae Adams line. Aaron Jones. Man, did he show out.
All right, so we're going to wrap this one up. We're going to come back to you with another episode coming up soon. Still touching on some things this week and throwing out some things from next week. Sean, give me these words of wisdom for this episode.
It's week 2. We're going to start to see consistency moving forward. We're going to see, what's the unusual outcome? Is the unusual Green Bay week 1 against New Orleans? Is the unusual week 2 against the Lions? This is where we're going to settle in. So overreactions are coming to a close in the next week or two. Settle in, buckle up. It's going to be a good ride. Hopefully your team's going to do well. And man, this beard feels good today.
My words of wisdom: don't underestimate home field advantage. Crowd noise makes a big difference.